After spending hours and hours of my life editing my last video, only for it to perform extremely terribly and get a grand total of 5 views, 2 of which being my own, I decided to take it easy and make a simple video this time. Is that what you thought? I say joke's on you. My mother didn't raise no quitter. Instead, she raised a glutton for punishment, and it seems like I was dropped on my head as a child because instead I'm giving you guys another video essay. So strap in, put your biker gear on, and get ready to dust some knuckles because we're talking about My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Introduction. So I'm sure most of you had heard of MHA, and I don't really need to tell you what it is, but something that's been making headlines is the spin-off anime recently produced by Studio Bones. I actually fell off the MHA train somewhere towards the end of season 4, and recently I've been feeling the need to get back into it. I thought Vigilantes would be a great way to ease myself back in, and oh boy was I not prepared for the roller coaster that was hurtling straight towards me. We got some fantastic animation, bombastic action, and an incredible cast of characters, all from this spin-off. I'm sure most of you can relate when I say that as fans of pretty much any franchise, spin-offs are usually quite terrible and they leave a lot to be desired, especially when they're not written by the original author. But I am pleased to say that this is not the case with Vigilantes, and this actually got me thinking. What makes a successful spin-off? For those of you who haven't seen Vigilantes, I'm going to avoid spoilers, but basically it's set before the events of My Hero Academia. A drug known as Trigger is making the rounds, and quirk-related crimes is on the uprise. The protagonist, Koichi, doesn't have a quirk that's particularly useful, but finds himself roped into becoming a vigilante, an unofficial hero who fights bad guys. Vigilantes is not a sequel, but a prequel, so it avoids this problem in not having enough plot to build on top of, because that allows it to pick a different time frame in the universe to start its world building. Just from the plot alone, this sounds really interesting. We already know that the times before the main story of My Hero Academia had a lot of conflict going on, so the setting is immediately interesting, and I think they picked a fantastic time to set the story. And this allows for them to build on some characters that you don't see much of in the main story, like Ingenium, All Might, and it even gave a backstory to Stain. Now, in a world where a sequel gets pushed out just for the sake of continuing the franchise and making more money, I think a lot of us can relate that you watch the first movie of a series or the first season and it ends up being fantastic. The producers never expected it to be renewed, and then they are forced to continue when the story itself doesn't hold itself together. I think a lot of us can relate that when we watch the first movie or the first season of a show, it ends up being fantastic, and then the second and third seasons are just complete train wrecks. If the decision is made after the story is already published for it to be renewed, then the sequel will struggle to build on top of the original world building because there just was not enough content for them to go off of. If it's decided in the middle of production, then the series will have to change its ending to accommodate for this next season that was not planned. The next thing that I think makes Vigilantes so good is definitely the world building of the universe that it's set in. I quickly want to pivot to another story that had a prequel made for a franchise written by another author, very similar to how Vigilantes was made. That's right, you guys knew this was coming. I'm talking about Sword Art Online with lollies, SAO Alternative, Gun Gale Online. Okay, so let me ask every single one of you, did you even watch this show when it came out? Because I definitely didn't. I mean, it's set in the least interesting setting of Sword Art Online, and the main characters are little girls. Who in their right minds wants to watch this? Who is this made for? The thing that made me fall in love with Sword Art Online was Aincrad and Alicization. I don't care about the guns, I don't care about Gun Gale Online, and I certainly don't care about the little girls. Now, I know this sounds very ironic considering, Vigilantes has pop step, and yeah, I agree. Why the hell did they decide to make an idol whose significant trait is popping out her butt 14 years old? Like Japan. Come on, I know you guys just raised the age of consent from 13, but... Anyway, slimy dittiness aside, do you know the immediate difference between the appeal of, for example, the Sword Art Online spin-off versus this one? The premise of Vigilantes just sounds cool, Whereas try to pitch Sword Art Online alternative to someone, go on, I dare you. Well, you see, it has little girls and they shoot guns and they're really cute. I think it's worth mentioning that when people came into My Hero Academia, they were expecting an underdog story. It is quite common in shonen, and Deku does initially come across as an underdog character, but the further you get into MHA, the more you realize he is extremely overpowered, and I can't help but think that this might have affected some of the negative opinions towards MHA where people felt like they had been misled. Vigilantes provides the underdog story that we always wanted out of MHA. It focuses on quirks that are not world-shatteringly overpowered. Heck, Knuckle Duster literally has no quirk, and he's still one of the most overpowered characters in the story. And it's not like they don't fight dangerous or powerful villains either. By restricting the power scaling of Vigilantes, the story can find actually intelligent and creative ways to tell its fights, rather than just, this guy went 50% Super Saiyan, and no, this guy went 100% Super Saiyan, and so on. Part 4. Character Dynamics. Okay, and this is where I think a lot of haters of MHA actually end up loving Vigilantes. The character dynamics. And yes, I'm not just talking about the characters themselves, but I'm talking about the way these characters interact with each other. If you're a fan of media, you've probably heard of the term chemistry. This is normally something that's reserved for actors who are playing roles in movies or on stage, and it's when two actors just seem to bounce off of each other. A couple good examples of this are Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone from Spider-Man, or Zoro and Nami's actors from the One Piece live action that came out recently. It's really good, by the way, you guys should watch it. Anyway, when characters have superb chemistry, you can tell, and you can definitely feel it when they come on screen. This is how I feel about every main character in Vigilantes. Popstep, Knuckle Duster, and Koichi just bounce off of each other every time they're on screen. And I think the smaller cast of characters compared to My Hero Academia definitely helps. Each character is given way more time, and even though I think characters are given their fair share of screen time in MHA, there's just so many of them, and it takes so much runtime to get all of the character information for all of these different people. Vigilantes, on the other hand, benefits because it can spend way more time flushing out the existing characters and then spend all this extra time it saves on building up its villains, building up the world, and everything else. Also, I just found the relationships between these characters to be really natural and really endearing. Even though they seem to meet under rather unnatural circumstances, their relationships feel human and they're very relatable and well thought out backstories. And I think this is definitely one of the strengths of Vigilantes. Animation and fights. I obviously do need to talk about the animation, but I mean, you can see it for yourself. This anime is beautiful. It's a Studio Bones production after all. My Hero Academia has a very strict and very frequent release schedule, and this means that the animators just can't spend as much time perfecting every single scene because their deadlines are just way too close. On a spin-off series like this, they're not gunning for renewal, they're gunning to tell a good story, and it really shows. The plot is already good from the manga, so all the animators needed to do was make it come to life, and oh boy, did they deliver. Anyway, I'm keeping this video kind of short and snappy, but in conclusion, I think that this is a great anime, and even if you don't like My Hero Academia, you probably will genuinely like this. I'm giving it a solid 8.5 Popstep's asses out of 10, so I hope you do go and check it out. The anime, not Popstep's ass. Wait, officer, I can explain. FBI, open up! Let me know if you've been watching Vigilantes. Are you excited for the second season? Currently I'm anime only, and I'll probably only go on to reading the manga if the anime gets cancelled, but I definitely want to hear everyone's thoughts in the comments. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful day. This is V, signing off.